Hey guys, so this is just a quick video to tell you a little bit about the breakdown of the quiz, not the quiz, the APES exam that you're going to take, how everything's going to work out. This PDF here is available to you in Google Classroom, so you can take a look with some more detail in there, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview, okay? So basically, as you know, the test or the exam has two portions. It's the multiple choice and the free response question. You're gonna have 80 questions on the multiple choice portion of the test. That's about 60. It's not about. It's 60% of your actual grade, like your 3, your 4, your 5, whatever, for the exam, and you have 90 minutes. So you have just barely under 1 minute per question. Of course, some questions go faster, some questions go longer, but you have 80 questions, an hour and a half to do all 80 of those questions. And I'm going to go into the breakdown of the multiple choice here in more detail in just a bit. Your free response, I've been kind of telling you this all year. You have 3 questions. Each question is worth 10 points. And you have about 40 minutes to do all 3, not 40 minutes, 70 minutes. It's 40% of your score, but you have 70 minutes to do all 3, which means you have about 23 minutes per FRQ. Of course, you could take a little bit longer here, a little bit shorter there, but you've got about that much time. Now, on the FRQ, of course, it really depends year per year, but typically 5 to 6 points is a 3. If it's really bad, like the average score, maybe a 4 will be a 3. You really shouldn't count on that though. Between 6 and 8 will be a 4. Between 7 and 10 will be a 5. It'll just depend on the distribution of the scores that year. So what I want you guys to do when you come ready for, when you take the test, the exam, is to just plan on getting at least an 8. Plan on getting an 8 on every single one. That way you know you don't have to be perfect. With an 8 you can still get a 5. There's a little bit of wiggle room because there'll probably be something there that you don't remember or you don't know very well, or you don't know how to word it. But that won't like freak you out, like, oh my gosh, my score is going to drop so much. With an 8, you almost sure you're going to get a 5. Okay, so you don't want to shoot for low, because then everybody tends to kind of not quite go as well as they thought. You always kind of underperform a little bit because we don't know exactly what's going to be on the test. But if you shoot for being everything perfect, then that's probably unrealistic. And we don't want to have unrealistic expectations, because then it's just going to make you nervous, and anxiety is going to make you do even worse on the test. So we want to have realistic high expectations, right? So an 8 for every FRQ is a realistic high expectation that I think every single one of you guys can have for yourselves, and that's what I'm hoping. I want everybody to get an 8, okay, when they take that exam. Okay, so let's go in through the multiple choice, a little bit more breakdown, a little bit more detailed breakdown. So I'm going to talk about the topics, but these are what they call a science practice. So these are like the way that the questions are asked, or the kind of questions that are going to be asked. Okay, so they give you the percentages. I give you the breakdown for per questions here. So concept explanation, that's just basic factual knowledge. Okay, so you're going to have between 24 to 30 questions on that multiple choice questions. This is going to be plain knowledge questions. Okay, you're going to have 9 to 15 questions that are going to have some sort of image, where you're going to have to interpret the image, or you're going to have to connect some sort of knowledge that you have and interpret the image. Okay, so you expect to see lots of pictures. So that's between 9 to 15 questions on the test. You're going to have 2 passages on the exam that you're going to have to read and answer some questions for. Those passages almost always tend to be articles from some sort of journalistic website that has to do with environmental science. Sometimes it'll be from a book or like a journal, but really a lot of the times it's an article. Okay, and we've read articles throughout the year, so you have lots of exposure to that. So you're going to have 2 of those passages, and each passage is going to have 2 to 3 questions. So that ends up being about 5 to 6 questions where it's just text analysis. And I'm fairly certain, with like 98% chance, you're going to be asked, what is the author's claim? Either for both of those passages or at least one. So that's one big question. But other questions like, what evidence supports this claim, and what kind of bias does the author seem to have, things like that. Okay, but again, these are all multiple choice. Scientific experiments, so you're going to have 1 or 3 questions that's going to ask you like, what's a good hypothesis for this, or what's the independent variable in this experiment, stuff like that. Data analysis, so again, you're going to have 9 to 15 questions. That is going to be either you analyzing a data table or you analyzing a graph. Sometimes I know there will be questions, it's just like plain reading the graph or plain reading the table. Like I could have given you that question the first day of this class and you could have answered. So don't overthink those questions. If it's just a straightforward read the graph and pick the right choice question, just do it. It's okay. But there are going to be questions where you're going to have to combine some of the factual knowledge that you learned this year with the data. Okay. You're going to have 4 to 7 multiple choice questions that are math, just pure math. You just have to work out the math. And then you have 13 to 18 questions which focus on solutions. So for example, you know, I don't know, whatever built a freeway through some forest in Canada. What's one way that you can help the biodiversity? And one thing would be to build a habitat corridor, like overpass over the freeway, so the you know, the organisms or the animals can cross and, you know, maintain genetic diversity or hunt or something like that. So that would be something that focuses on a solution to an environmental problem. So you're going to have questions like that are going to ask you about the solutions to environmental problems. Okay. And then you have the breakdown of where those practices, how they fall into the FRQs. Now, on the multiple choice, a 3, so a passing score for the AP exam we want to shoot for 48 questions. You want to get at least 48 questions in order to pass the AP exam. Like it could be as low as 41 questions, but I don't think it would ever be any lower than that. Maybe because of COVID, everything will be different, but typically 48 is your passing score, and then they actually don't tell us what the breakdown is for 4 and a 5, so your guess is as good as mine. I would guess that an 80% on the multiple choice would give you a 5. Okay, now this year, to wrap up this video here, I've reorganized the units the way that I did not do the way that College Board does, because I think it's really jumbled and the sequence doesn't make sense to me. So I changed it. I want to tell you what it is, because some of the review that we're going to do, I'm going to follow the units that College Board sets up, just because some of you guys will be gone, and you know there's all kinds of stuff going on. So Unit 1, according to College Board, ecosystems, that means the biomes, you know, like savanna, tropical forest, blah, 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 aquatic biomes, all the cycles and all the energy pyramids, food web stuff. That's Unit 1. That's the percentage of it on the exam. Unit 2 is biodiversity, so that's like ecology, biodiversity, island, biogeography, ecological succession, okay? There are small portions of the exam. Unit 3 is animal and human populations, but that includes generalist and specialist species as well. Unit 4, I really separated this unit into separate units. So Unit 4 would be geology, soil, all the atmosphere stuff that we learned, and like ocean currents, things like that, El Nino, as well as like what is a watershed. So this is like where they put all the basic earth science stuff in there. Unit 5 is called Land and Water Use. It was really kind of jumbled together, lots of different things jumbled together. So all the farming stuff is here, all the forestry stuff like clear cutting versus sustainable forestry, things like that, aquaculture over fishing, mining, and urbanization. Those are all topics that are kind of mixed together in this unit here. So for example, when we did urbanization, we did that with population growth because that made sense to me. When we did soil geology and mining together, and then we did farming. So I've rearranged some of these things because they just seemed better rearranged. Energy unit is the energy unit that we just did, and then atmospheric pollution is most of the atmospheric pollution unit that we did. I flipped the order of these because the big problem with a lot of the non-renewable energy sources is air pollution, so it didn't make sense for us to do air pollution after we did energy. It made more sense to me to do air pollution first, then energy. And then aquatic and terrestrial pollution. So we have all the water stuff that we did in the beginning of the year. Biomagnification goes in here. For whatever reason, wetlands and mangroves are in here too. And then the stuff that we ended the year with here, solid waste, LD50, all that stuff's in here as well. And then the last unit, which is kind of a bunch of things jumbled together as well, you've got, as it's called global change, stratospheric ozone depletion. All the climate change stuff, so from greenhouse gas here all the way to ocean acidification is a unit, as well as invasive species, endangered species, and human impacts on biodiversity. Again, I took this unit 9 and just put it into the other units that we did because to me it made more sense that way. So I just want to let you know what those units were. You don't need to memorize any of that. This is just information. So because some of the review that we will do, I'm going to have digital review available because you guys are going to be taking AP exams, and seniors are going to be done early, and some seniors are going to take it 2 weeks later. So I just want to show you this so that when, if I have some stuff from another teacher that I think might be beneficial for you to review, if you're a senior and you're leaving early, then at least you know what Unit 9 means and things like that. But that's what this is right here. Okay, so again, I don't want you to freak out. We've covered all the content. I just rearranged it. It's all jumbled up in the test anyways. I just wanted you to know, wanted you to be informed. This document is available to you in Google Classroom. That's it.